All right. So, hey, Cassandra,
Hi
welcome to
there.
Real Estate Coffee Talk. We have to cheers. Let's cheers.
Cheers.
Everyone, your mug. That's probably the best mug I've seen on
Free.
any
I mean, I had to
episode.
represent.
Oh, you know it. I love it. Sometimes, well, and most people, I think by this time, they're like not drinking coffee anymore. Like,
Yeah.
well, I've already had my few this morning. That's where you're at. So that doesn't matter as long as you got the mugs.
Right.
Um, all right. So Cassandra, she works in the Charlotte market for one of probably everybody's favorite builder, True Homes. So tell us kind of just a little bit about yourself, how long you've been working for True Homes, and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I basically used to work at Red Ventures, which is a big sales company in the Charlotte area. And then I decided I wanted to get into real estate and started looking at builders, found True Homes, and they were hiring. And I interviewed without being licensed. But I had a bunch of sales experience. So got the job, and I've been at True Homes now a little 6 years.
So that's crazy because I feel like when most people, they get licensed, they end up working as a regular broker for a little while.
Yeah.
So, what made you want to get licensed to go straight into building?
So I had always worked in sales. Like that's kind of like what got me through everything. And working at a call center 8, 9 hours a day, taking 20 to 30 calls. So it is hardcore sales, 30-minute breaks. Like that was the environment that I was used to.
Yeah.
And then I did that for a little over 5 years, decided to take a corporate opportunity just to learn more because I never, I don't have a degree. So
Right.
for me, it was like, okay, I'm going to take a pay cut, learn the ins and outs. And I did. I did really well, but the pay cut was horrible.
Yeah.
And I was struggling financially because I was always used to sales. And it's like the harder you work, the more money you make. Corporate is not like that. It's like the harder you work, you still get paid the same. And then they're like, oh, if you want to make more, you got to get promoted. So going through that, in addition to a lot of things happen, I was in a bad relationship. IRS had garnished my wages. It was just like kind of my rock bottom.
Right.
And I was like, I need something different. I need like a change. And on a walk, I don't know, real estate just kept popping into my head. Like that is how it happened. It just kept showing up. And I was walking my dog. And at that time, I was renting a house, and it was actually a True Homes house.
Oh.
So then I get back home, I look online to see like new home sales because I have a friend that works for another builder, and I was checking to see if they were hiring. They weren't. True Homes was hiring. And so I went ahead and remember that one of my old coworkers had gone to work at True Homes. I called him up and he's like, oh, you would be great. I talked to him for 30 minutes and he's like, just go ahead and apply and, figure it out from there. So I applied, got an interview, and they were like, you're great. You just need to get licensed. So then I stayed at my job, took 2 weeks of PTO just to get my license because it was just kind of one of those like, I got to make a serious change. I had no money.
Yeah.
And got my license. And as soon as I was licensed by that summer, I started interviewing in February. By July, I had officially gotten the job at True Homes with no real estate experience.
Oh my gosh, I love this. Well, it's so funny because we probably met not too long after you.
Yeah, at the beginning.
Right at the beginning. And it's so funny when we met, we like instantly hit it off, right? And it's so funny. My sister knows you now as the person. I'm like, there's this girl, she's gorgeous, she's successful, she's Boricua, right?
Yeah.
She's Puerto Rican. She's so positive, she's so friendly. I'm like, you're not allowed to be all those things at the same time.
Oh my God, you're so sweet.
And now like add to it now, you're like all in shape from your exercise. And when we did the because Cassandra and I are in this Latina leader or Latina realtors in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And we went and I was telling her about your thing, and she was like, is that the girl you told me about? That she's like beautiful and this at the same time. We're such weirdos. I've showed her your pictures. I'm like, look. I think it was your wedding pictures. I'm like, and she's like free. She's so nice. And she's like, How can you be all those things at once?
Girl, because I was a late bloomer. I was a dork and a geek all my life, you know. It had a gap tooth. It wasn't until like my 20s that I started blossoming.
Oh my gosh, I love it. No, you are the whole package. I'm always like, oh, your husband got a good. I love it. Okay, so before that, because I know that you didn't have your degree, which I didn't either, but everything in our life has led us kind of on a journey, right? And I know yours was not always, speaking of the gap in your tooth, that was like the least of your problems. What tell us about kind of like when you were young and these really big things you had to overcome that probably play into your success now?
Yeah. So I actually was born and raised in St. Paul, Minnesota. And that is a very weird place for a Puerto Rican Dominican to grow up in, especially in the 90s.
Yeah. I didn't even know they had any over there.
There wasn't. Literally all the Puerto Ricans I knew, they were pretty much related to me because my grandmother had 20 brothers and sisters that all migrated from Puerto Rico to Jersey to Minnesota to work at the same company. And everyone followed ships. So that's kind of how you had all these Puerto Ricans running around in Minnesota when there was nothing but like Norwegian and Scandinavian people.
Right.
So growing up, I grew up with a single mother who didn't speak any English. So I was, one of those kids at 6, 7 years old, calling utility companies and translating at parent-teacher conferences. And we also grew up Section 8 housing. So my mother never owned a home. I had a few family members who own homes, but for the most part, most of my friends, we all lived in apartments. And Minnesota's a little differently. So Section 8 housing there, they have Section 8 in every single apartment complex. It's mandatory to have a certain amount of units. So I actually grew up in the suburbs and I grew up with a bunch of rich kids. So to top it off like that, I feel
like I don't know what's worse, everyone around you is the same income level, or now being the brokest person.
It was pretty much, yeah. It was.
We didn't have a lot of money, but my dad always put us in private school in New York. So it was like everyone had the Tommy Hilfiger and the polo, and we were like, no, yours is from. They had a store called S&M that was like a discount fake Nike store, Payless. Oh my gosh. But anyway.
TJ Maxx. I grew up going to TJ Maxx and I still love TJ Maxx because that was the way that I got some name brand stuff, for a whole lot less. So, I'm a Maxxinista for life.
Yeah, for real. Me too.
So, I mean, kind of growing up, I already felt that difference. Like, hell, people out there didn't know what Puerto Rico was. They would ask me, oh, where are you from? Are you Mexican? Do you speak Mexican? And I have a lot of Mexican friends, so I love all my people. But it was always one of those things having to defend, oh, we're from Puerto Rico. Oh, what's that? Oh, do you speak Puerto Rican? It was always defending where I was from, the differences. So that was already kind of hard in itself. Right. And then, growing up, food stamps, free lunch, like all those things, you already feel a certain kind of way. And then in my junior year of high school, that was like 2006. So, that was like the worst of the economic recession, 2006, 2007, 2008. My mom, we tried moving around and she basically lost her Section 8 benefits. And that was something she had all my life. That was all we known. And this is a woman that really never, she never really learned the language. She didn't know the work field, the workspace, never, kind of pushed herself. And that's what I grew up. I grew up seeing a lot of women kind of stay at home, very limited because they don't want to lose the little bit of help that they have. And
because sometimes when you're in that position, if you do a little bit better, then you lose
everything. Like if you get a job, then they don't cover as much benefits. So I have a very different feeling about all of that because I feel it limits people.
It does. Yeah.
And growing up,
walk a tightrope of,
And growing up, I saw that and I knew that inside. And so when she lost those benefits, I mean, we ended up living with family members, friends. I was in my junior and senior year of high school and I lived in 15 different homes. So it wasn't like homeless, like living under a bridge. It was more like homeless, like you live with a cousin for a few months and then they kick you out, they get sick of you, then you sleep on a couch somewhere else. And It was that, and I lived in Minnesota, California, and at some time in Puerto Rico in my junior and senior year of high school. So when everyone's like thinking about, you know, going off to college and starting a life, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to live. And so I got very much involved in community service because there's this lady named Carmen Robles. She's a Puerto Rican from Brooklyn, and she like had some funding from the health department. So she started going to my high school and like getting together all the Latino kids. So that was kind of like my escape. I would look forward to meeting with her once a week. And she was like the first person to really believe in me. And she was the first person that I opened up as a kid about what I was going through. And it was just like that one little person who gave you like a sense of you're bigger than this, you're made better for this.
Yeah.
And so I started working with her. And in that community service, I started saving up money because she was like paying me, you know, to work part-time with her. And by the time I graduated, I decided at that point that Minnesota was not for me. I didn't like my family members. I didn't like the people around. I felt like I was going to be stuck if I stayed there. So I took every single penny I had, which was like $1,000.
Yeah.
Decided I was going to move to Puerto Rico. And I called my aunt and I'm like, I want to go to cosmetology. They school out there. They have an Aveda school in Puerto Rico. So I was like, can I come live with you? I will find a job. I will pay you rent. And so at 18, 2 days after my high school graduation, I left Minnesota, moved to San Juan.
Oh my God.
Lived in San Juan.
Difference.
Lived in San Juan for like 3.5 years. I went to cosmetology. Then I decided I wanted to go to school for marketing. Did that for a semester, didn't work. Went back to cosmetology. This whole time I was working full time, going to school full time. And then I finally decided that the job I had, I didn't like. I used to work for City Cards and customer service and sales. So that was like my first time getting in a call center environment. And then Red Ventures was hiring in Puerto Rico. So I was like, oh, what's this company? A sales company. Get a job there. And I'm working there for 2 months. And then they give us the news that they're going to shut down the offices and transfer to Charlotte. And they gave all the employees, including me, I was a brand new employee, the ability to move to Charlotte. They're like, they sat us down on a Friday. They're like, okay, you have 1 week to make a decision if you want to move to Charlotte. And I was 21 years old. I was a baby.
Goodness.
I was about to turn 22 that month. And I'm like, well, I have nothing to lose. So if it doesn't work, I can always move back. And I literally moved to Charlotte. I had no money. It was a Thursday. I had saved every little bit that I had just made to buy my flight. I roommated with like some of my coworkers and we all like would carpool to work together because we had the same schedule. And like the next day that I moved here was when I finally got a paycheck and it was like a $300 paycheck. So I was like 21, no money, in Charlotte, no family, working at Red Ventures.
Oh my gosh. But it's crazy because that little decision kind of set you on the trajectory because as much as we love Puerto Rico and all that stuff, the opportunities there just aren't the
They're
same.
not, right.
So that little decision kind of led you here. So,
ignorance is bliss. And at that time, it was very much so.
Yes. Sometimes you have to do the stuff that just does not make sense. Like if I could look at the things that have gone well for me, it's always the things like, I guess I'll try it. And those are the things that, you know, just end up leading to the best place. I'm telling my son now, because he's getting ready to go to college or deciding on colleges and kind of, he's nervous. He's a little bit hung up on where he's going to go. Everyone's talking about the biggest and the best. And I'm like, it really doesn't. I want him to go to have it under his belt and stuff. But I'm like, you just gotta, it doesn't matter where you go, just go. You
gotta follow your gut. You know, that's what all my crazy decisions, it was from Carmen Robles. She always told me, people will say all the things. The numbers will make sense, sometimes not make sense. You just got to go with what your gut tells you.
Exactly.
And at that time, I literally took that to heart. And every crazy major decision I've ever made has been because my gut told me. And everyone's like, you're going to Puerto Rico? You're going to Charlotte? You know, and I'm like, yeah, it feels right. And
it feels right.
And there was the same thing with my job at Red Ventures. You know, when so when I switched into the corporate world and they were like, okay, you know, you did great this year, but of course, like typical corporate, for you to get your promotion, you got to do exactly what you did on our team, but on a bigger scale.
Oh,
and that was a defining moment for me. I'm like, they're not paying me my worth. This isn't, I can do so much more than this.
right.
And that was the fuel that was like, I need to get out of here. And I literally passed up on that job and told them that I wanted to go back on the phones and selling on the phones because I knew I was going to work at True Home. So in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm getting prepared, you know, to go back into sales. Let me get used to sales. And I dropped a corporate role for like 4 months, went back on the phones with those 30-minute breaks just because I knew like this was going to prepare me for, you know, selling in person.
For the next thing. Yeah. And that's one reason I could never probably go back to. And believe me, it's not like I haven't thought about it being in real estate about, you know, sometimes you're like, let me just go back to the 9 to 5 safe, you know, thing. But I could probably never go back because the amount of like hustle you put in, it doesn't matter what projects you do that ends up working really well. It doesn't matter if you suck. It's like everything is just based on, you know, what are their numbers for that year? Here's your little
who you know.
Yes, who you are. There's all these politics involved. You know, I can never do it again. Okay, so that's good. So once you got into True Homes, right? These past 5 or 6 years or so. How long have you been there now?
I've been there 6 years.
Okay, 6 years. So what was, well, let's say, what was the most challenging part of being in the industry?
Everything. Literally, like, you got to understand, I never lived in a house. I never owned a home. So not only like you're selling real estate, you're dealing with buyers, you know, working for a builder is very different than general brokerage. You know, at the end of the day, the way they treat it is you're in a storefront. You know, you have a budget, you have to know financing, you got to work during business hours. And True Homes, we're semi-custom builders. So in every single community, you see 12 floor plans. There's really 40 something different floor plans, you know? So it's like
so much to know.
So
and even on the general brokerage side, when I first got into it, I mean, I never grew up in a house. I bought a house when I was like 23, but it was a townhouse. So like the important systems, I didn't have to know. Never growing up was anyone talking about, oh, well, we need to do this every year. We need to, you know, because we always lived in an apartment. So like in general brokerage, I feel like people are like, well, yeah. And what's, you know, with the crawl space? And I'm in my head like, what's a crawl space?
You know, crawl space, right? What's a septic tank? Like little things.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
So yeah, I mean, I would say, and True Homes is also a very different company because it's a private builder. So at True Homes, you know, they're big on the broker program, you know, going to offices and speaking in front of, you know, agents, seasoned agents, new agents, networking. Like these were all things that I had never done before. So it was like being thrown into the ocean with all the sharks. And I felt like a little guppy. I felt like I knew nothing. The only thing I knew that I was really good at was connecting with people. And that's why sales has always came really easily to me, because I genuinely love people and helping people and talking to people. And that was like the part that I'm like, I got this. But to be honest with you, even when I first started, like when a family would walk in, I sometimes I would just like freeze, because it's just like, you know, it's almost like I was used to call center sales where they don't see me, you know, it's just my voice. And it was like, now it's like the whole thing matters. So
yes, I get more scared. Like I could probably never do call center calls. I don't know why. I get so nervous on the phone. In person, I'm fine. I'm like, I got this. Like that's why I loved like open houses. I was like, yeah, I'll talk to you all day. Now, how I'm going to convert you into a sale, I don't know. But I could talk to people all day. I found it hard. Like the sales strategies in real estate are so hard for me.
Yeah. And there's a lot of it's so like ancient too. And the thing that I've noticed in real estate is that when like you talk to an agent and you say sales, like they like cringe, like, oh, I don't sell, I help my clients. And I'm like, you don't understand then what sales is. Communicating. Do you communicate well? Do you ask the right questions? Do you present solutions? Are you like giving them a perspective to help them make a decision better? And I think, that's also something really weird that I find about this industry.
It is. A lot of people don't think of themselves in sales. And I'm like, yeah, we're helping people, but you can help them all day long. But you have to have like the skill set to convert. Like my husband had been, well, he's still in sales, but he had been in sales basically his whole career ever since he got out of college. And every open house, I would be like, well, I don't know. I couldn't get them to, sign in, or I couldn't get them to do this. And he would be giving me all these things like I honestly didn't even think of. And it's like little tweaks to get them to, whatever, take the action you want.
Build the trust, build the rapport with people. It's nothing. I don't feel like if you genuinely want to help someone, learning those skills is going to take you that much further, because it's a good guide to kind of guide people along the way and get them to make a decision.
Get them to where they want to go, which is the help for both of you. So it's definitely, I spent my whole career before this in like nonprofit marketing. So completely
different.
Yes. Yeah. And that's why I think I kind of ended up, moving over into just the marketing stuff I'm doing now, because I didn't enjoy the sales aspect at all. It stressed me out. I just hated that. And like the negotiation, because like in general brokerage, well, and I know on your side too, but more so in general brokerage, I love the part all the way up until like we start getting them under contract. And then it's like, then we have to negotiate. And I am more like, I like everyone to get along. And so when we're, going back and forth, and people will spend, so much energy fighting over something that's $500, which is fine. It's important to them, but it's just someone come to me, call the other agent back. Actually, they'd really like this. We really need to get this done. And it's just,
But you know what? It led you to this, what you're doing now, girl. You're killing it. Like, I feel like you found your place. You're thriving. Like, it's amazing to see what I saw 5 years ago to now. Like, that's crazy.
I love you. It's good. Like when I watch people like you can tell like you love what you do, right? And there's challenges along the way, of course, but there's like a general like excitement and passion for what you do. And that I didn't have like in general brokerage. But now I'm like this on this side is like what I get excited. So it's good when you find that. But okay, so in new home sales, what do you think is like the top way that because you and I know you work with a partner, you guys are one of the top sales teams. I know in Charlotte, but I think in all of True Homes kind of. So what is like the number one way you think you found success?
Honestly, Holly Lee, my business partner, teaming up with her. And that was like the biggest unexpected blessing. And I owe it all, I would say, a lot of it to her and my manager for giving me the opportunity to join a team. And I say that because I started in July, did a training in September. And then by January 1st, he was like, you are going to become promoted. You are going to be on 100% commission, and you can either work by yourself or you can work with Holly. And Holly at that time had been working at True Homes for 4 years. So she had experience. She's brilliant. She's an encyclopedia. So that honestly, I owe her that, like getting me from like knowing nothing to killing it and having a great first year was, taking the decision, okay, I'm going to split all my commission, but I'm going to work for a team. And I owe that, just because like if I would have done it alone, it's not saying that I wouldn't have gotten there. It just would have been a whole lot harder. And it probably would have taken me a little bit more time. And working with her from the beginning, it allowed me to kind of have someone where if I was in a pickle or didn't know something, I could just pick up the phone, call her, and she let me know. And I attribute that to my success. That's I would say number one. Either if you're in general joining a team or having some kind of a mentor, someone who can really help you throughout the process, because it's hard. It's not an easy industry. And I feel like it takes a team, you know, it takes people around you to help you get ahead. So that, and then the second most important thing I think is your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because coming from where I came from, there wasn't a lot of positive people. I wasn't always this way.
Yeah.
You know, I had to go through it to finally get to the point that, like, oh, not play victim mind and play like I'm the reason that my life looks like this, but I can also be the reason that I get myself out of this.
Right.
And working really, really hard on mindset. Like, I'm a psycho. Like,
Yeah.
I have a psycho morning routine. Like, you watch those motivational videos, and when I was first starting, like even before I got my license, I dove deep into self-development, self-help, because I never had that in my life. I had no one who ever kind of taught me those lessons.
Yeah.
So I attribute, you know, working on self-development and mindset has been, you know, the way that I've been able to get ahead.
And I love that when we did that luncheon, that you were talking a little bit about that, and I think I was like a little crying a little, because yeah, it was so, I don't know what's the word. It was so moving, I guess, to see, because a lot of times you see all those. I think that mindset world is also
Kind of fake.
yeah, like they come across as like bro marketers and things
Yeah.
like that, and
Yeah.
so you don't really take it to heart. But when there was someone a little bit more, you know, like you, that you could resonate with, and to see,
Email.
okay, yeah, female,
Yeah.
and this is all the stuff you've gone through, and yeah, it's the same thing. Like I know in my life that I think I tend to use my past as an excuse for some things, and it's something like I'm like I want to change about myself, and that was just the easiest thing to grasp onto. So that was actually, I don't know. It was, but also, I don't know how to describe it. But like also when I was going, it's like that mindset stuff is like a little bit like, well, that's
That's for them.
yeah, or whatever. Like it's yeah, that's for this group, or that's and sometimes in like religious circles that could be like, you
Yeah.
know, something. But it was so nice because it gave me like permission to be like, all right, I need to really get more into this. And no, so my kids don't care.
It's okay.
But yeah, anyway, it was really moving to hear your story on that. And then going back to teams, man. So one thing I've noticed about the real estate world is we get licensed specifically in general brokerage, but I'm sure in new home sales too. You get licensed, you don't know anything. All you've done is pass the class, and
Correct.
then you're just thrown to the wolves. And this is an industry where I feel like so many people, they want to protect their money in a way, but it's like if you would just join a team and learn from someone, have someone to have your back, have someone to ask questions on, you would grow that much faster.
It's an investment. It's kind of
Yeah.
like going to school. You go to school to kind of learn, get your degree. You know, it's an investment. You got to sacrifice to succeed.
Exactly. And I feel like so many people, they get stuck because they're not, even as they get more experience, a lot of agents also don't invest the money they need to like scale their business. And True Homes does a great job of this because if you are out of the North Carolina market, True Homes, this builder, they throw every year a True Homes party. I missed the one last week because of the non-snowstorm we had here where the kids were home from school.
Yeah.
But it always makes me think, right? Because True Homes is really the only builder doing this. They're doing these parties where they're giving out whatever $100,000 in cash prizes. It was a lot. What I don't know.
They do the core broker party, so you just have to sell one true home a year to get invited. And this year they're giving away, I think it's over 200,000, over 300,000 in cash within like 2 hours. So like everyone will leave with money. Last year the grand prize winner left with like $20,000 cash, like just for attending an event. And then we also do a lot of events, especially this year. We're really focused on doing more broker opens and just like events throughout where we're giving like $5,000 to $10,000 in prizes. So I have a party on Valentine's Day actually at Moreland Oaks where we're going to be giving away a Louis Vuitton, a Gucci bag, some other prizes. So just
I'm coming. Yeah. So if you're in the market, I'm coming. Yeah, the one last week was for like a grand opening down in, I don't know if it's,
Stonebridge.
yes,
Yes. Yep.
so yeah, and someone I know won $2,000. So, but anyway, it makes you think. I'm like, true, even in this tougher market, right? It's got to be scary for the true homes management to be like, should we continue to give out $200,000? I mean, it's like they have to think about it at some level. But I'm like, now look at what they put in. They invest that into the brokers. The brokers are almost always like, if I have a client, I'm gonna try to get them on a true home. That's the first. They're blasting all over social media. It really is an investment. And I was at an event recently where they had someone high up in True Homes. I forgot what his name is, but it was him and three other new home salespeople. Two others of them were from like that entry level market.
Okay.
They had nothing on your guy as far as what are they offering. One of them was like, well, yeah, you can go and pick your home online and it kind of cuts costs. And then your true homes guys, well, yeah, first of all, we're paying out 3% commission to all our people. We have parties. Then even at that 300,000 level, there's a lot of our homes that you can still do semi-custom. So
Yeah.
they're not afraid to give everyone that experience, which in turn is like, even a person who buys a true home wants to buy another true home. And
right. I mean, I personally have a lot of repeat clients that
yeah,
need a bigger house and will call me and like have built 2 to 3 true homes, which I think is like says a lot about a company, especially a local builder only in the Carolinas. So
exactly. Oh my gosh. I've looked you guys up to see if you're further, because we eventually want to move out to Florida. And I'm like, oh, True Homes is just here. Because as an agent, that was the best building experience I had. Like the best buying building experience was with the True Home. I'm not just saying that.
And I also think a big success is lining up with a company that has your same values. And the reason why I chose True Homes to work for as a builder is because they also give a lot back to the community. I mean, they partnered up with House Charlotte to provide, down payment assistance programs, heroes programs. They even opened, there's like in Rock Hill, there's a nonprofit where we went in and we're going to help them build another house for women that are left homeless with their kids. So they're doing so much to put back. I mean, heck, even in December, all the employees were able to donate, and they matched our donation 4 times up to $250 or up to $1,000. So we ended up donating $160,000 to a bunch of nonprofits that we believe in. Like, they just give so much back that I honestly have no desire to go anywhere else,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And that's for them, that's got to be such a good feeling. Like the employees, they want to stay there. They want to be there. So what would you tell, I guess, someone who maybe in general brokerage and is considering or who wants to go into new home sales?
Okay.
And I know you
can be like transparent.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a thought I've had, and I'm sure a lot of people have, because it seems nice. I know there's pros and cons, but what would you tell them?
Okay, so I'm just going to talk about the benefits. The benefits is a lot of times when you work for a builder, you'll still be at 100% commission, but you have benefits. So you're filing a W-2, you have, full benefits. It is a storefront though. You are working at a retail storefront essentially. So your weekends are going to be sacrificed, unless you're with a team. You got to work at the model during model hours. So like, that's just like kind of like the big thing to understand if you're thinking about that change. But I would say my number one advice is to get sales experience, because builders don't necessarily hire realtors that have been in the industry for a long time. They like people that have any kind of other previous sales experience, that know how to talk to people, know how to build rapport, just understand that process and can convert. That's my number one advice, is to get really good at your communication skills, selling, closing, get experience. Like, that is honestly the thing that they look for. I mean, heck, they basically told me, you have 13 years of sales experience working at a call center, get your license and you're hired. So if that doesn't tell you something, you know,
because kind of like it's the house is already almost sold for you. You have to convert them into buying that exact.
Correct. You got to sell them. You got to understand, you know, asking questions. The issue that I run into, and I see this in a lot of brokers, is they'll bring a client with them and they don't know anything. They haven't asked them about, like, the client has a pre-approval for 500, but the client has no idea what that is in a monthly payment wise. They barely know, they know they're looking for a 3-bedroom, preferably a ranch or whatever, but they don't know anything else. And I have to like go back and be like, okay, what have you seen? You know, what do you like? What don't you like? You know, what do you know about the market? Like, I have to really dig deep and like peel the onions of, you know, peel the layers of the onion to kind of get that value. And that is essentially what sales is asking questions, building value according to, you know, what their pain points are, recommending a solution. And when they like want to take some time to think about it, it's kind of getting in their face and being like, no, but you know, if you wait, the urgency, that is a skill that takes a lot of practice, but it's the number one skill that builders look for in an agent that they're looking to hire.
And a lot of times you can be licensed in general brokerage for years and never develop that because maybe you're not selling, or maybe you're just getting, because I'll say like I've been licensed 5 years or so, and I don't think I ever got, a lot of my deals were kind of easy per se. Like there were people I knew, or there wasn't a lot of that digging around that you had to do. So you don't learn to develop those skills until you're like in that world where when I hear my husband on the phone with people, sometimes I'm like, how does he do it? Like,
because it takes practice, you know?
Smooth. Yeah, it's just, he makes it sound so smooth. And I'm like, it's amazing to me to watch. So okay, I love that.
I believe it because he's related to Kareem, and I used to sit next to Kareem. He was on my team.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, so if you've heard Kareem sell, you should see the two of them like on the phone together. It's so funny because Kareem, you know, Kareem is his brother. The Bai, he's the younger brother, but he talks to Kareem like he's the older one. I'm like, what? So take Kareem and multiply it by 3, and that's Bai. Like they're definitely both salesmen, man, but Bai is like,
that's so funny.
Sometimes I'm like, man, just tone it down a notch. But see, he gets them. He was just recognized in their Charlotte market as like he had closed the top number of cases, whatever, because
that's amazing.
So, but yeah, I mean, some people they either have that gift, or you know, you have to love it, right? So you have to love it.
Or you got to practice it, you know, because like in high school, I was quiet, I was very shy, you know, and I was very insecure. And I think being thrown into working at a call center world where you're taking, you know, for customer service, hundreds of calls a day, then you switch to like sales and you're taking like 20 to 30 calls that last 30 minutes to an hour. Like you definitely start to practice and understand different personality types and how to address certain people. So it's a skill that takes a long time, but anyone can learn sales and get into it and get a little bit of experience. And it's just a little bit of experience and being really, really good that will get you, you know, into the new home.
That's a good point. And that might be where your mindset stuff comes in too, because maybe you're in general brokerage and you're like, well, I would do new home, but I'm just not good at that stuff. But that's a good point that anyone can get there. So
I
love that. Okay. So you have been, you know, through it in your life, right? And there's a lot of agents, like I'm in a lot of these agent Facebook groups, even outside of Charlotte market. And a big thing I've been seeing a lot is people who they're broke, right? There was someone in there asking people to donate to their mortgage the other day. I mean, it's tough going for a lot of people. So I know you've not been there specifically as an agent, but just in life. So for that agent who is like broke, tired, ready to give up, what are some words of advice you would give someone like that?
Get crystal clear about the vision that you want. And when I say get crystal clear, I mean create a vision board, like have it, surround yourself with that. Wake up in the morning, write your gratitudes. We all have something to be grateful for. I have it right here. I have a notebook called the Start Today, where you write 5 things you're grateful for. And usually they're things that have happened in the last 24 hours and 10 dreams you made happen as if you already made it happen. So when I started, I was broke. And I was new to the company, knew nothing. I made a big old vision board with all the stats and all the goals and everything that I wanted to accomplish. My income, I put in there how many sales, how many core broker relationships I wanted. I put everything. And then every single day, I would do just gratitude, just to get in that state of gratitude, because I really feel, especially when you're going through it, it's very easy to go down a rabbit hole and just think of all your problems. And I feel like when you're concentrating and focus on lack, you attract more lack. So it's very important, no matter how hard it is, to try to get away from that scarcity mindset and try to just focus on, I'm grateful for having a roof over my head. I'm grateful for the food I just ate. You know, I'm grateful for just finding whatever you can to start shifting that paradigm and shifting that mindset into a growth mindset versus a lack mindset. So I would say kind of get obsessed with that. Like if you don't have anyone in your life who's motivational, get on YouTube and find just like the people, and because there's so much out there to kind of help you, you know, get in the groove of things. And, you know, it's about like becoming obsessed with it, becoming obsessed with your vision and doing whatever it takes. I mean, it's hard when you're dealing with money issues, but it's not impossible to get away from that. Because I mean, that was me. I started at this job with no money. I was completely broke.
Right. And especially in sales where, yes, it can get really bad, but it can also be, you have a little bit more control over how good it gets. So yeah, that was actually one of the main things I left with when we were at that group, was the three things of gratitude.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was 3 things of gratitude, and then what, 10 dreams you have?
So 10 dreams you made happen as if you already happened. So I'll give you a great example of this.
Yeah.
So a few years ago in 2020, you know, when all that happened, I had a big goal in my head that I was like, what's the biggest, most ridiculous goal? I'm like, selling 100 homes a year. That's ridiculous. Well, they changed things up where, or actually this was 2021, where we couldn't like really cross sell anymore in the market that I was in.
Okay.
So then I was like, okay, what does 100 homes mean in sales volume and like the, you know, the volume of homes I sell? And it was 30 million. So I was like, oh my God, to sell 30 million in 1 year, that's obnoxious. So that was the one dream that I started writing down every single day as if it already happened. I started writing, we sold, you know, over 30 million in volume with excellent client experience. I wrote that every single day for a year. And I kid you not, in 2021, we hit 31.5 million. It was like crazy.
With
I was
excellent client experience.
It was like, you know, it was client experience. I've made the company trip every year. And to make that trip, you have to hit above a 90% willingness to refer you. So it's not.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know the experience was good with you every year.
Yeah. So it's, and that's what I say. It's like, you know, getting very intentional about what you consume, what you're watching on social media, you know, like how you're setting your goals, like just kind of get obsessed with that. And I feel like that helps you. And I feel like God, the universe, source, whatever you believe in, will start bringing opportunities into your life that will help those dreams and goals come true.
Right. And sometimes you have to just be your own biggest cheerleader. And if you fill your mind with, oh my gosh, you know, I'm so broke this month, or oh my God, you know, instead of just say, you know, I always say, like, when people have a goal that year, I'm like, put in Post-its. I changed, like this year, I changed all my passwords to what I want my income to be this year.
Oh, I love that.
So, you know, so no one tried breaking into my thing. It wasn't that, you know, I had variations of it, but it was like that way every day I have to type in what I wanted. And it's like, oh, what am I doing today?
Yeah.
So that is, I think that is so powerful. And if someone starts doing it, you know, you will see the difference over time. You can't not see a difference, even just in your mindset and stuff.
And that's a hack that I've taken into every aspect of my life, Sarah. Like,
Yeah.
you know, even when it came to my husband, I
Yeah.
had ended a horrible 5-year toxic abusive. It was the worst relationship ever. And I was so broken at that time that, you know, and I was going through the shift of working at True Homes, and there was just a lot going on in my life.
Yeah.
And I wrote a whole list of the ideal person that would work, you know, someone that I would want to marry. And I put it on my phone in my notes list. And I kid you not, 3 months after I did that, I met Chris. And it was like immediate.
Yes.
Bullshit. Like it was like something where it's like, this can't be true. Same thing with True Homes. I did a whole vision board. You know, once I started the process and applied, I went ahead and made a whole vision board and did brokers and did all this stuff before I had even had the job to kind of push me towards real estate school and kind of keep me focused. And because I was working on all this after my job.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
So it's crazy. I really feel anybody can make anything happen. You just gotta get hyper obsessed and like have it everywhere.
Yeah, because even if you're, you know, not into like all the woo woo stuff, the thing is, it's so true. What you focus on is what you're every day going to be working towards and what you can have in your mind, and then it's more fun, you know. Also, because if you're just thinking all in terms of like, well, if I make this commission, I'm still behind this. But if you're like, I'm making this commission because I'm making this year, and this is what it's going to do for my family, for my kids, for, you know, whatever. Yeah. I always got put in something fun for me. I'm like, I'm going. But if you put in that, then it gets exciting to work, you know. And we started putting like, you know, we both work commissions, so putting like exactly how much we want on a board, and then literally like every day just marking, you know, just going back. I'm like, oh, that's all we have left to make this, you know. I mean, so it's exciting to do that. So okay, so where will Kassandra be in 10 years?
10 years.
Vision? 10 years.
My vision? Okay. So I've always wanted to write a book and share my story. So I've already kind of started like writing a book, you know. I don't know. I see that. I've always had that feeling, even though I'm not like a hardcore reader. So the funny thing is, like, I love audiobooks and like books like that, but I'm not a hardcore reader, but it's always been in my heart. So I don't know. I could see myself retiring in new home sales. I'm not going to lie. So that could be it for me. I feel very content with what I'm doing. I love what I do. But yeah, I also feel like diving into something on the side, writing a book, having a line of journals and things that have helped me and kind of creating my own thing. So that's kind of like what I want to do on the side.
I could see it. Some like coaching, all that stuff.
So, eventually one day.
Yes, you will get there. Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really hope people are like, you can't help but like be around you and be inspired. And normally I would be much more excited sounded, but you know, I still feel so sick. I'm like eating pieces of a
biscuit. And you're here, you're showing up. So that shows your dedication. I'm so proud of you.
On the inside, I am like, I love Kassandra. It's just so to get it out. But seriously, I think your story is so inspirational, and you know, she really has so much to give, and so much people have so much to learn from you, I should say, as far as putting these goals. You really can do anything you want, anything, right? And it's just a matter, especially in this market, it's tougher. But don't let that
get to you.
Yeah. Right. You will get where you're meant to be. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate your time. I will I'll see you soon. And if you have, we'll put all of Kassandra's like Instagram everywhere to follow her. So connect with her. And then if you are in the Charlotte market, obviously, if you want a true home, she is your girl. So we'll put all her contact information in the post. And then that's it. I'll see you soon.
All right. See you. Thank you so much for everything, Sarah.
I'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.